Hello, welcome again to Fair Tax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton,
I'm Bob Scarborough.
and we are the Fair Tax Guys.
It's not quite electronic, but it is, for those of you who are listening on radio, the scrolling banner is quite the electronic gadget, if you will, fully manual, but deploys in an instant and will allow you to make impressions about the fair tax wherever you might happen to be. And I would start in the quote unquote vacation time of your representative to go knock on their door and sit down with them and ask them about their feelings on the fair tax and see if they won't be a co-sponsor.
There we go. You have kind of previewed what we're going to talk about here on Fair Tax Power Radio this edition. Now, I got to ask you though, what do you think of my new background here? Let me back out of the way a little bit. That is
Yeah,
that that is actually the tunnel that connects the Alabama locker room to the field there at
yeah,
Bryant Denny Stadium. So yeah, when we were last time I was there visiting my brother Andy, we took the stadium tour and I took that picture, which is kind of cool. Of course,
it
you
is
can't see it
cool.
if you can't see it if you're on the radio. You've got to go back and look at the YouTube archive or the Rumble archive and see what we're talking about.
It's
Anyhow,
great.
let's get going. Which means okay, let me crack open my cheer wine here.
Yes.
And there it goes. And we will get into Congress.gov. And I'll tell you, the Congress critters, again, since the last time we recorded, have been actually busy again. But the words Internal Revenue Code in quotes in the search function at the top of the Congress.gov page select legislation of the current Congress. As of the day we're recording this, June 6th, 839 hits. Now, 2 weeks ago, 778 hits. So you can see how many proposals have shown up in just the last 2 weeks to change the tax code. So let's get right into it as we do, shining the light of truth on what the Congress critters are doing to the tax code here. And we will start with H.R. 3769 from Representative Stephen Horsford of Nevada. This is to amend the Internal Revenue Code to get this, exclude certain dependent income when calculating modified adjusted gross income for the purposes of eligibility for premium tax credits. How do you like them apples?
Well, it if it made any sense, it would be great.
To exclude, apparently there's certain dependent income. Dependent income, is that when your kid works at McDonald's and brings home some, I don't know what dependent income is, but that doesn't count if you're calculating modified adjusted gross income for the purposes of eligibility for premium tax credits. I didn't realize there were premium tax credits versus regular tax credits. I guess that's leaded and unleaded. But anyhow, we have to ask a Representative Horsford of Nevada what that's all about.
Right. Yeah, that I mean the challenges that face us and the reason that we that Bob does the Congress.gov segment is to underscore how the tax code gets more complex with each Congress using the tax code to essentially curry favor with lobbyists, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they're both in a mutually beneficial dance, if you will.
You know,
And they're using a
I,
tax code, and it's just insane.
I think it's pretty interesting, though. You'll hear people say, we need to simplify the tax code. We need to simplify the tax code. And yet, week after week after week after week, they're introducing all these new things to put even more stuff in it,
Oh yeah,
including S 1982 from the Senate side. This is Tim Scott in South Carolina. A bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to include expenses for certain non-athletic supplies in the above the line deduction for eligible educators and to allow such deduction to interscholastic sports administrators and coaches. Again, you talk about really narrowly defined benefits. That's one of them. Tried to figure that one out too, huh?
yeah. He's the junior senator from South Carolina. Uh, he's the longest serving. Uh, you know, African American senator in history. Uh, he's
He's
probably like,
generally a pretty good guy. I like him.
yeah.
But he wants to include. Apparently, there's an above the line deduction for eligible educators. So again, you're picking out who gets this benefit and who doesn't. But they want
Mhm.
to include certain non-athletic supplies in that above the line deduction, and to allow it for interscholastic sports administrators and oh mercy, why do we have to have a tax code that has that much junk in it? Why don't we just get rid of the whole thing? Pay your federal taxes at the cash register when you buy things and be done with it.
It's insane. I mean, yes, makes it very easy. And one of the things that I note in conversations that I have with people, as we always say, that yes, it might make it simple and more efficient, but how are we going to take care of the folks that are at the bottom end of the income scale? And then we get into, which we'll talk about, and we will talk about later today. But that's where the challenge is. You look at what happens in Congress, and we go over this from Congress.gov every week when we can, and it just is. You have to stop and think: is there a better way? And yes, there is. Uh, some of the states are figuring that out too.
Yep. We'll get to that here in a bit on see, I think that's next week's show. But let's continue here with what we do. And this is from Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, S 1979, bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to establish a credit, oh mercy, another credit, for the domestic production of high performance rare earth magnets and for other purposes. Can't have a tax code with that in it, can't you?
No, you got to have the magnets, man.
Oh,
You ask
yeah.
somebody what a magnet is, they say, well, it's a little thing that eats cheese.
What?
You
Uh,
ask somebody what a magnet is, and then the answer, of course, is a little rodent that eats cheese.
oh, okay. I'm not sure I catch that, but
Well,
we'll go
you'll
on.
have to think. You'll have to think about it for a minute. Yeah.
Okay, hey, I'm not usually up this early. Okay, let's keep going. S 1964 is our next contestant up for bids here on the fairtax.org's. I guess we're kind of related to fairtax.org, but the Fairtax Power Radio. This is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to, oh mercy, we're dealing with another credit to modify the energy efficient home improvement credit to include a credit for natural carbon sinks and for other purposes. That's Cindy Hyde Smith of Mississippi. Again,
Wow.
I've got you totally baffled, huh?
I'm sitting here thinking about all of these combined together, and that's a lot of work that goes into, you know, crafting these and launching them. And if it's something that you're truly behind, that now you've got to go out and amongst your associates there in Congress or the Senate and share and sell uh, these bills with to try to get co-sponsors, uh,
Uh,
which is the same thing that we do with HR 25. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. It's, we've got, there's a lot that goes into to this mess. And
well,
using the tax code is just, it's, I think, the wrong way to do it.
okay. Well, I will note that Senator Hyde Smith has attracted zero co-sponsors to this bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code to modify the energy efficient home improvement credit to include a credit for natural carbon. I didn't know that people who made natural carbon sinks must have a lobbyist up there somehow. But oh, mercy. One more. This is from Representative Brandon Gill of Texas, H.R. 3715, to amend the Internal Revenue Code to clarify that wages paid to unauthorized aliens may not be deducted from gross income and for other purposes. That one's got 14 co-sponsors.
Yeah, that's must be important. Other purposes, because it's got other purposes in it. That's why. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. We will leave our world famous Congress.gov segment here for next week. We will come up with some more of this craziness as we keep shining the light of truth on what the Congress critters are doing to the tax code. And we'll still remind everybody that there's a better way to do this. We can collect the money that the government needs to operate without having all this gobbledygook, without having all this lobbyist influence, without all the complexity that nobody understands it. I mean, it's what up to close to 80,000 pages if you consider the statutes and the regulations and the court cases and all. 80,000 pages of tax code that we have to do. And when you sign your tax return, you are actually, certifying that you understand it all and that you are, have done your taxes in accordance with all of it, which again, nobody can get rid of it. Let's pay our federal taxes at the cash register when we buy things, implement the fair tax and be done with it. But okay,
That's
let us move on. Let us move on here on Fair Tax Power Radio. And as we were mentioning a few minutes ago about co-sponsors on all these bills in Congress, and I looked a couple of days ago at the co-sponsor situation for HR 25, the Fair Tax Act, and I was kind of disappointed in what I saw. So now we're going to kind of shine the light of truth on the co-sponsor situation in the Fair Tax Bill in the 119th Congress. And of course, what we need to do is encourage people. We're doing this because we want to encourage people who may be listening to this program and live in the districts of these particular representatives that we're going to talk about. If you have any kind of influence at all on them, you could call them, if you could email them, or especially if you could just show up on their doorstep and talk to them in person. That really gets their attention. Anybody can send an email or make a phone call, but we need to make the effort to go actually see these folks in person. That does indeed make a difference. We have had several Congress critters have told us that that is indeed the case. So let's get right into it. Let's dig into this my little document here. And in the last Congress, there were 26 co-sponsors. Actually, there were a couple that signed on and then withdrew, but there were 26 active co-sponsors in the last Congress.
yes.
Now, of that 26, 20 are back in the current Congress. And of that 20, only 11 have re-upped as a co-sponsor in the current Congress. And let's give a hat tipo or whatever, a little thank you to these particular representatives. Let's just start on the list of the people who are currently co-sponsoring the Fair Tax Act in the current Congress. And there were several of them. Let's see, out of the 14 total, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them signed on the very first day that Congress, was in session and the bill was introduced. Beginning with Representative Andrew Clyde from Georgia, District 9.
Yes, and then John Carter, Texas District 31, returned as a co-sponsor of HR 25, the Fair Tax Act.
Yes, and as did Scott Perry, who represents Pennsylvania 10.
Also, also Eric Burleson from Missouri, District 7. These are folks that signed up to return as co-sponsors on the 3rd of January, the very first session of Congress.
Yeah, these were folks who were co-sponsors last Congress, got reelected, and re-upped again on the Fair Tax Act. And unfortunately, again, as we're looking at this thing, I see a bunch of R's and no D's. I really would love to get some Democrat support for the fair tax because, again, it's a nonpartisan issue. It's just how you raise the money that you need, and it doesn't matter what your political philosophy or which party you belong to. I can't understand why not everybody would want to be for a system where you bring home your whole paycheck. You no longer have to file income tax returns. Your personal finances are no more the government's business with the fair tax. Everybody would like getting more money. Everybody would like being relieved from having to fill out a tax return. I think everybody would love to be getting a prebate check every month. I mean, I don't understand why all the support is coming from one side of the aisle. And if you live in a district that is represented by a Democrat representative, ask you to go to work on them. See if I don't know if the leadership the leadership has kind of changed a little bit in the bet that used to be the leadership was just dead set against it. They were, if you were a Democrat and you supported the fair tax, you were just committing suicide. They weren't going to support you in any way, shape, or form. Hopefully that's going to change, and hopefully we can get some Democrat support here on the bill before too much longer. Let's see, where
Sure.
are we? You did
John
Eric early, but we're down to who? John Rutherford now in Florida.
Rutherford.
This,
Yep. District 5, John
yep,
Rutherford.
yep.
Signed, re-signed as a co-sponsor on day one back in
Hmm. Thank you, sir.
Warren Davidson, Ohio, District 8, also returning.
Yep, and here's a name that most people may recognize, Andy Biggs. I believe he is the chair or was the chair of the Freedom Caucus of the House. And from Arizona District 5, Andy Biggs, a co-sponsor who signed up on the first day. Thank you, sir.
Alabama District 5 Representative Dale Strong, back again supporting the fair tax. And if you all out there in Power Radio land have a desire to reach out to your congressman and you know that he is supporting or she is supporting the fair tax, thank them for that. It's always good to hear. If you wanted to call their office in Washington and let their staff members know how much you appreciate it, it goes a long way to reinforcing to the representatives that people are out here and excited about the fair tax. There's a lot going on in Washington D.C. right now, and so it's always good to make an effort to thank our representatives for especially sponsoring H.R. 25, the Fair Tax Act.
All right, we got three more returnees we need to acknowledge. Barry Loudermilk, Georgia 11.
That's right. And Mike Collins, Georgia 10, signing up. And those two cats signed up. Loudermilk signed up a couple of days after the opening of the 119th session. And Mike Collins signed up in the middle of February.
Yep.
Thank them for that. Georgia District 10, Mike Collins.
Yeah, the most recent signer honor is Barry Moore from Alabama. He signed on the very last day of March. Those are the 11 that were in the Congress the last day, and they have re-upped on the fair tax bill. We will look at the list of folks who were on it last Congress that have not re-upped right quick. But let's see. We do have a couple. I call them co-sponsor pickups. These were representatives who were in the last Congress, did not co-sponsor it last time, and are on the bill now. That starts with Richard McCormick, Georgia District 7 was a day one sign up this time.
Yes, and Andy Harris from Maryland, District 1, signed up on the 7th of January, just a few days after the opening of the 119th Congress.
Yes, so we've got another Harris from up in your neck of the woods, North Carolina District 8, Mark Harris. He is a freshman representative. He was not in the last Congress, but he is now representing North Carolina District 8. And he signed on February the 4th, about a month after Congress started. So do you know him?
No, but he's from Winston-Salem,
Oh,
Representative Harris. He was a Baptist preacher near Charlotte and Mooresville, and he came out of the pulpit to run for Congress a number of years ago. And the District 8 is east of Charlotte, and it hugs the North Carolina, South Carolina line almost all the way down to Rockingham.
oh, okay. All righty. Let's keep moving. We've got let's see how much. We got about a little under 9 minutes left in the program. Now we need to talk about the co-sponsor. I hesitate to call this the Hall of Shame because these were guys that were all with us last time, but have so far neglected to come around and get on the bill this time. And leading off that list is somebody that I'm really surprised to see on this list. It's Kat Kamick here, Florida District 3, just north of us and west of where I am. I am just a few miles outside her district. Kat Kamick has always been, or at least I thought she was, a very ardent and strong supporter of the fair tax. I know that Randy Fisher talks to her a good bit. If Randy's watching the program and wants to mention in the comments where Ms. Cammett stands on the fair tax right now, if we can expect to see her back on it again, I would think we would. But Kat Cammett needs to come back around and get on the fair tax for the 2025 session.
Thomas Massey from Kentucky District 4 did not return to co-sponsor H.R. 25, the Fair Tax Act, in this Congress.
Yes, and ditto for Ralph Norman. That's South Carolina 5. And he signed on, I mean, just within a couple of days of the bill being introduced last Congress. And in fact, it was on the first day. January 9th was the first day. And Ralph Norman signed on first day last Congress, has not re-upped this time. So if you live in South Carolina District 5, kind of lean on Mr. Norman if you would. See if we can get him back on the bill.
I wonder if you could make, just as a general supporter of the fair tax, make a call, even though you're not in the member's district, and just say, hey, we appreciated you supporting the fair tax last year. What we would love to see you support this year. It could be me calling from North Carolina or you calling from Florida saying, hey, what is it? We just want to know what changed your mind about supporting that would be the question I would ask. And for those of you who are listening or watching the program, zero in on the ones that we're talking about. So if you are in their district, you'll be able to make some effort to get in touch with them for
Well,
sure.
hopefully they haven't changed their mind on the bill. They just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. But Congress has been in session for about 6 months now. They've had time to do it.
Right.
We need to get these guys back in line here. Who's next?
Gary Palmer from Alabama District 6 he's returning, but not co-sponsoring again the Fair Tax Act.
And he was another first-time signer in the last Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one from Florida we need to go to work on. Gus Belrakis, District 12. Not sure exactly where that is, but he was with us last Congress. Is not back with us yet in this Congress. We will dispatch our crack Florida Fair Tax team to his office and get him back on the bill, Gus Belrakis. Next
Yes.
one is a name that a lot of people will recognize. Go.
Yeah, Georgia District 14 Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Everybody up there, it seems, are going by their initials. So MTG, what's going on?
Yeah, well, I know she was just really disgusted about something last Congress and just jumped on the fair tax. So hopefully she actually understands what it is and does indeed support it. And this wasn't just a political grandstanding stunt that she pulled off on the last Congress. But yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a really polarizing figure. A lot of people love her, a lot of people can't stand her. But when you've got that many people watching you and paying attention, uh, it would be really good to get her back on the bill. So if you live in Georgia 14, lean on Ms. Greene a little bit and see if we can't get her back in the fold. And look at that! I drew another Florida one here. This is a guy that we had to work on a good bit last Congress before he finally signed on. That was Representative Byron Donalds.
Yes,
Yes,
Tim Berg from Michigan District 5 has not co-sponsored from last session to this one.
I'll even let you do the next name since it's someone you're familiar with.
Yes, and I can tell you, Virginia Fox, who has been an ardent supporter of the fair tax through co-sponsoring HR 25 over the last number of sessions, has not re-signed for this year. We are definitely concerned about that a little bit. And I don't know if this is a trend or if we're just too busy with all of that's going on in Washington these days, that the fair tax just sort of seems to take not only the back burner but the hot plate off to the side of the stove that keeps the soup warm. But and again, what I'll emphasize, as I said earlier, the summer break in August is coming up before you know it, and you need to go ahead and get an appointment now with your representative, regardless of who your representative is, whether they're on the lists that we're talking about now or where they might happen to be, in this. And Bob Paxton said a minute ago, it could be someone who is a registered Democrat representing your district. We would certainly want to have those conversations with them. If you set up the appointments now, you are sure to be able to have a voice with your representative, and you can rest assured that I will be getting an appointment with Representative Fox during the summer break to go sit down with her and discuss this.
I said, if I'm remembering right, you live in her district, right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, your mission, should you decide to accept it, and looks like you already have, is to go talk to her. We got not quite 2 minutes left here in the program, so we need to go through this list really quick. There were several people who did not return to Congress who were co-sponsors last year and have been replaced by someone else. Jeff Duncan in South Carolina represented District 3. That district is now represented by Sherry Biggs. So if you live in South Carolina 3, you need to go see Miss Sherry Biggs and see if we can say, hey, look, your predecessor was on the bill. How about you jumping on it as well?
Bob Good from Virginia 5 was defeated in the primary and replaced in Congress by John McGuire.
Okay, here another Florida one. Bill Posey, District 8. He decided against running for re-election. Mike Herodopoulos, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is now the representative for Florida District 8. If you live there, we need to get on him as well.
Jim Banks from Indiana District 3 has moved over to the Senate. So if you're in Indiana District 3, that you now need to call up Senator Banks and let him know he can certainly support the fair tax in the Senate. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, we need a Senate co-sponsor. Another rather infamous name here in Florida from District 1, which I believe is up in the Panhandle, Matt Gaetz. Did not seek re-election. He briefly had a position in the Trump administration. That didn't last long. But Jimmy Petronas is now representing that district. And so you can, if you live up that way, go see him, see if we can get him on the bill and remind him that his predecessor was there and he needs to be as well. And one more real quick. We're about out of time here.
George Santos, New York District 3, was expelled from Congress. If you remember the news stories about Representative Santos, and he's replaced in Congress by Tom Suozzi. And see, if you're in that District 3 up in New York, go ahead and make that phone call to Representative Suozzi, and we'll get him cracking on supporting the fair tax.
I hope so. Suozzi's a Democrat, so maybe we can get him aboard. But that is that's the co-sponsor list for this current Congress. Had 26 last time. We got just over half of that this time, 14. So again, we need to get to work and get our representatives to understand that we, the people, are tired of the income tax. We are tired of the IRS. We want the fair tax, and we need to get them on board here. But say that has eaten up the entire program. We are slap out of time. We got to move on here. Again, thank everyone for tuning in, watching Fair Tax Power Radio, sharing the video. That helps a lot. If you got a question or comment, you can leave us a question or comment in the comment section under the video. But until then, we're going to have to wrap this up, and we'll see you next week right here on Fair Tax Power Radio. Until we meet again, I'm Bob Paxton.
I'm Bob Scarborough.
We are the Fair Tax guys, reminding you the fair tax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
So tell me how it works.
You know, it's probably changed since the last time I saw it, but the short answer would be, you want to take this one?
Oh, sure. Okay. Imagine bringing home everything you make. You don't get taxed for saving or accumulating wealth, and your boss doesn't get taxed more even if he pays you more.
Wow, now see, that's amazing.
So the end result of all that is the cost of producing products and running a business goes down, so things cost less. And on top of all that, imagine every criminal, non-citizen, and under-the-table worker also paying taxes.
That's amazing.
That's the fair tax. We tax what you consume as you consume it, and that's it.